Okay, well, let's speak a bit more about Salah because, yeah, I mean, it's a strange one. You touched on it. He's quietly got 4 goal contributions in that game, 2 goals and 2 assists, and probably not in most people's top 2 performers of the day for Liverpool, which is just insane to say. But his numbers are incredible. Before we dig into them a bit more, can you please tell all Liverpool fans that Christmas Day, Liverpool are going to announce a treble new contract and give everyone a great present?
Unfortunately, nothing concrete on that at the moment. But what I will say is it's kind of encouraging. He's not coming out with his social media posts about it. He's not talking about it in interviews when he turned down the opportunity to do that on Sky yesterday. So surely we are getting closer to that. And I think it's just got to happen, hasn't it? Liverpool must know that there's no chance he can go into next season without him in the team. He's just too important. He's utterly world class, and well, I mean, he's the best player in the world at the moment. I mean, certainly from the start of this season to this point, he's got to be up there. So yeah, they can't allow a player of that caliber to leave, but we know they don't want to either, and the ability to compromise is there. He's absolutely desperate to stay as well, so still feel confident about that one, and the fact he's not talking about it anymore maybe suggests that we're edging closer. So yeah, it'd be fantastic to see him and Virgil van Dijk and Trent stood in front of the Christmas tree with the shirts up, but we'll see how that one plays out.
Yeah, and obviously January 1st is coming up, and that is the date that they can start speaking to other clubs, those 3. Is that really a significant date? Will the club be worrying, or I suppose they know the situation obviously better than any of us, so they'll know whether it's time to worry. But is that as significant a date as it deserves to be mentioned all the time?
Probably not. I'd say just on the basis that I think Salah and Van Dijk in particular have made quite clear that they don't want to go anyway. They're not interested in what anybody else has got to offer them, and so that to them it doesn't really matter. They want to sign contracts to Liverpool, and so that day passing really doesn't mean too much, I don't think. And similarly with Trent, as much as the Real Madrid interest is there, he's giving priority to Liverpool at the moment, and I've no doubt whatsoever that Real Madrid have told him what he could get there anyway. So I don't think Liverpool will be too worried about that, although they'll just want to wrap these up as soon as possible, just on the basis that if you do get a little poor run of form, if a couple of defeats come, it will start to get talked about a little bit more. We saw a minor dip in Trent's form, I thought, over the last couple of games prior to this one. And it was all anybody could talk about was his contract. So you just don't need that distraction and that little storyline in the background. So yeah, the quicker they can get them wrapped up, the better.
Yeah, okay, let's run through some of those Salah stats then, because he's now overtaken Billy Liddell as the 4th highest scorer in Liverpool history. Billy Liddell, for those who don't know, back a long time ago, but he was so good they called the club Liverpool for a long time. He was that good and scored that many goals. He was that important to the team. So Salah overtaking him, 4th highest scorer in history. I mean, when we say that, I was about to brush that off and move on to other stats, but that is incredible. No one would have predicted that when he joined from Chelsea. So on its own, that is amazing. This season alone, he's got most goals and assists in the Premier League, both top of both charts, both goals and both assists. He's the first player to reach double figures for both in a Premier League season before Christmas ever. No one's ever done that before. It's the 6th season he's reached double figures for both, which is more than anyone, overtaking Rooney for 5. He has now got more Premier League goal involvements than Thierry Henry, thanks to his 4 at the weekend. I mean, are we talking surely a top 10 Premier League player of all time? Top 5? Top 3? Is he up there in that conversation?
I genuinely think we're getting to the point where we could be talking top 1. If he signs another couple of years contract and he continues to play at this level, which I'm sure he will. I'm sure we'll maybe see a dip towards the end of that, but at least the next season and a half, I'm sure he's going to be playing at this level. As you say, Thierry Henry, we put him up there as the number 1. And he surpassed him for goal contributions in a team that, by the way, hasn't won the title every year or anything like that. And I just think, is he not up there with him? I think the only thing that maybe holds Salah back from being considered the outright great, or I don't see him often put in that kind of top 3 conversation or anything like that, is maybe the lack of Premier League titles he has won. And I mean, he's been so unfortunate a couple of seasons where he's been a point short. I think if he can win it this season, then I just don't see, he's got 2 Premier League titles to his name. He's on track to be top scorer and top playmaker again, which, he's already done that once before, but to do that again would be unbelievable. And as you say, all those numbers, he's moving into Liverpool. He's probably going to be top third top goal scorer for Liverpool of all time by the end of this season. I think he's 12 goals shy of that. There's just not much to hold him back from being in that top one conversation, at least. That I'm not saying definitively, but I think he could put himself in the debate. I honestly only think the winners' medal thing is what maybe is the reason that some people kind of underrate him or don't believe he should be in that conversation. And that's nothing to do with him. But if people want to talk about that, and if they want that to be an issue, then okay, maybe you can get one this season, maybe you can get one next season. Let's see how that pans out. But I just think he's got to be in that conversation as all-time Premier League greats, because look at just the rate he's consistently scored at. Does it in all the big games consistently in a way that arguably the greatest Premier League big game player of all time. I don't think anyone can really match him for that. Just scores in all the big games, and yeah, I really do think he's got to be in that conversation. I just think if you can get another winners' medal this season, then maybe we'll start to see kind of a little bit more respect shown to him and placing him in his proper context, really.
Yeah, because off the top of my head, how many did Henry win? Only 2? Was he? I don't think he was there in '98 when they won it. So 2002 and 2004 probably. So, it's not like he's as Giggs or Scholes with double figures of Premier League title medals to his name. For me, Thierry Henry is the player I've been most fearful of as a Liverpool fan coming up against him. I obviously don't have that sense of a rival fan, how sort of scared they are of Mo Salah. But I mean, every big club
should be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, big clubs, especially United. I have no doubt they're terrified of Salah because he haunts them every time. He's got a great record against Arsenal. I mean, I started by saying top 10, maybe top 5. Top 1, it's getting harder to, as you say, give reasons why he wouldn't be in that conversation. It just comes to mind now, but maybe sort of the Djokovic, Federer, Nadal sort of debate in tennis. Djokovic, I think in 10 years' time, is going to be regarded as the best ever because statistically he's ahead in almost every category. And Salah's sort of heading that way in the debate with Thierry Henry. He's not going to catch Alan Shearer in terms of top score of all time, but he's going to overtake Thierry Henry this season in terms of goals. As we say, he's already done goal involvements. And yeah, for most people, and certainly for me, Henry is number 1. But the fact that Salah can be put ahead of Henry already in a number of categories, and goals and assists are the 2 things forwards are most judged on, and he's going to be ahead of both of them by the end of the season. And I think his goal ratio is right up there. I think Sergio Aguero's top, but then Salah's not far behind. He's in that top 3 as well. There was a graph Opta put out earlier this season, a couple of months ago now, and it's improved since then, but it was ranking Salah amongst assists, goals per 90, assists per 90, and games. And he had done so much. He was near the top of everything and near the bottom in games in terms of the top scorers. So he's got to be up there. Yeah, yeah.
I just think it's going to be a conversation. I think that's I agree with you. Thierry Henry for me is number 1 at the moment, and I think aesthetically probably better to watch. A bit less kind of. Salah's plays in straight lines sometimes in comparison to Henry. Henry was so smooth in the way he did things. I absolutely loved watching him, and he scored all these goals and got all these assists. But I think, like I say, I think in a couple of years' time he will be up there. And I think if you can get another winners' medal, I think it just helps to bolster his case. And also what would maybe help is obviously Thierry Henry has got that record, hasn't he, of kind of 20 goals and 20 assists in a single season. Mo Salah's on 15 goals, 11 assists this season. Can he get there? Can he get close to that? Then maybe that will end the conversation. Maybe that will be it. If he can continue this season, which will be kind of record breaking if he does. Let's see how he gets on in terms of that. But if he does that, then I really do think he's in the debate for the best Premier League player of all time, which is, like you say, when he came in from Roma and he was described as a Chelsea reject, and you just thought he was this kind of streaky winger who might score the odd goal. Did not see this coming, did not see him getting up to, I'm sure he'll finish this season 3rd in Liverpool's top scorers list. And, that is ridiculous. He'd probably have one eye on catching Roger Hunt, by the way. It's not unthinkable that he could catch him, which is crazy if he'd move into second. So, didn't see this coming. And I just think it's testament. He's just freakishly good, and it's been an absolute joy to watch in recent years. And I do want to mention as well, by the way, just having a look at that top scorers list, Ian Rush it's almost ridiculous. He only took 3 penalties for Liverpool and he scored that many goals. It's That's also ludicrous. And maybe we should probably. I don't think he gets placed in his proper historical context, generally speaking. By the way, but yeah, that it just shows you how good Salah is. That he's probably going to beat out all the others who are behind Rush by the time he's finished at Liverpool.
I mean, that brings me on to the next question nicely. Where does he rank in Liverpool history then? Is he, if you're saying he's up there with the best Premier League players of all time, is he above Gerrard for you? Does that put him above Dalglish as well?
It's tough. I mean, obviously, it's hard for me to kind of judge with Dalglish, I would say. I mean, it's easy for me to judge Premier League time, those players, because I watched them all basically, and it's so easy for me to do that. Obviously, I didn't see Dalglish live. I only ever met him when he was a manager and he was being moody with us in press conferences. So, although I love Kenny, I am only joking there. But yeah, so it's hard for me to say that. And obviously, I didn't, outside of seeing clips of Dalglish, clips of Rush, I did see Gerrard, and I think I don't want to be unfair on Gerrard because he never got the kind of privilege of playing in teams as good as Mo Salah has as well. So again, that makes it really difficult to judge. But I just think he's going to be up there, isn't he? I think he's going to at least be up there as kind of top 10 Liverpool players of all time. That is already for me cemented. And again, to say that he would do that for a club that has won as much as Liverpool and has had as many great sides and as many great players, that in itself is ridiculous. And then in terms of where he falls in that, I suppose that's up for people and their personal preferences and what teams they did see. But yeah, that he's even in that conversation for a club like Liverpool is just outrageous, really.
Yeah, for me, as you say, didn't grow up on watching Dalglish and Rush and Barnes and Souness and Hansen and all that in their time and live. I've read up a lot about them in the past. For me, I think he's in that top three. I think he's in that conversation with Gerrard and Dalglish, and yeah, which is crazy to say. I thought Gerrard, would be the only person maybe in my lifetime who challenged Dalglish for that greatest Liverpool player of all time, but he's that good, and it's incredible. It seems like this season has just underlined it. He's just had such a good season. He's been the best he's ever been at Liverpool, and that's the first season he had at Liverpool broke all sorts of records, and he's been even better. And actually, I did want to mention, just mentioning Souness there. Souness always referred to him as the most selfish player he's ever seen in his life, and this is a guy who's now got so many assists. So he has, I think he's never been quite as selfish as that. I don't think he's as selfish as that was made out, but he did always used to sort of go for goal himself if he thought he could score, which he had more than enough right to do considering how many goals he scored in his first season. But he's also evolved into much more than obviously just a goal scorer. He's that playmaker, as the assist numbers bear out as well.
That's it. I mean, that's the side of his game we've really seen kind of grow over the last few years. I feel that the ability to be a playmaker, and he seems to get quite a lot out of assisting goals now these days. But I mean, to do that, to kind of add that string to your bow and then just seemingly maintain the goal scoring numbers as well. I mean, that's what makes him special, really. And he's got to be, again, he's the front runner for the Ballon d'Or next year for me, or at this point. You've got to say he's in that conversation. He's absolutely flying. Who is playing better than him in the world at the moment? There can't be anyone. He's doing this in the toughest league in the world, being the best playmaker, the best goal scorer in a team that's flying. So, yeah, that's the conversation he's in. That's where he's up to at the moment, and it's just a joy to watch. And again, just puts a little bit more pressure on Liverpool around that contract situation. They have to get it sorted. But as I say, I'm sure they will, because there's no way they want to let a player of this quality and this influence go.
Yeah, he's added more strings to his bow, so give Mo his dough.